everyone, and welcome to Stefan's podcast, the only podcast for everything Japanese news, Japanese myths, and what's going on in the big wide world. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. We have got some great scary stories from me, we've got some great stories, scary stories from Japan, and we've got some great news stories from Japan coming right at you. But first, we're going to jump into our scary story of the week from me. This is titled Tales of the Oshōuo. This is based on the Japanese myth of the Oshōuo, which is basically a turtle with a Buddhist head. Now, it's said that if you ever meet one, you are meant to give it sake. If you don't, then there's going to be a lot of problems for you. So, without further ado, let's jump into the story. The Tales of the Oshōuo. His dad was drunk. He was always drunk. Even at 10 a.m. he was drunk. The fridge was empty as the family's bank account. Little John woke up hungry. He was always hungry. He went to the bathroom, splashed some water into his face. The only water that ever came out the taps was cold water. He got dressed and headed down into the kitchen. Gingerly, he opened the fridge, praying for something inside. The only thing inside it, a lonely single beer. This beer, though, was no ordinary beer. It was the last line of defense from the shouting and the beating. The last soldier on the front line. His father, a skinny man, with less teeth than a broken piano. He reached over him and pulled out the last beer. "Nothing in there for you, boy. You find yourself a job yet?" John was only 13. He tried to go out and find work, but no one would hire him. Shop owners told him he had to be at least 16 thanks to the new labour laws. Little John dived out the way nervously and replied, "No one will hire me. They keep saying I need to be at least 16 to work. They keep saying labour laws won't let them." Big John broke the neck of the last soldier and opened the bottle. Taking a sip from it, he wiped his face with his sleeve. "Damn government, always looking down on people like you and me. Hard-working folk like us don't stand a chance, do we, boy?" Little John quickly replied, "Yes, sir." But inside he thought to himself, "Hard-working folk? You ain't even had a job in 10 years. Big John looked into the freezer drawer, and it was also empty. "Well, son, don't just stand there. Make yourself useful. My unemployment doesn't come in until tomorrow. So if you want to eat tonight, you better take that fishing rod I got you for your birthday and head out to the sea." Little John hated fishing, hated fish, and hated his fishing rod even more. His dad stole it for his 13th birthday. When he first got the rod, he was a little excited to try his hand at catching, but all that went away when he realised his Ben Smith branded fishing rod wasn't a brand. It was the name of a man who lived 2 streets down. His house had mysteriously been broken into just before his birthday. "Well, boy, you hear me?" LJ looked outside. It was January. It hadn't quite started snowing yet, but the weather report wasn't looking good. But Dad, it's freezing outside." "Well, you're going to be even colder tonight when you're sleeping outside if you don't bring me a fish back to eat. Now, get moving, boy." Little John ran back upstairs and grabbed every clean shirt he had left in his wardrobe. He put 2 pairs of trousers on and put on his coat that was now almost too tight to wear. He grabbed his rod, calling it a piece of shit, and made his way to the door. His father shouted out, "Hey, you catch any more than 2 fish and sell them to the fish man, I want that money, alright?" Little John sighed. "Okay, Dad. And wait! You see your Uncle John, you tell him he owes me $20. "Yeah, sure thing, Dad." LJ opened the door. Icy wind hit his body. He instantly tensed up. His breath was taken away from him. "I better catch a couple of fish today before I freeze to death." LJ lived just 10 minutes from the sea. His town used to be famous for shipbuilding, but the company decided to move overseas. He walked past the big metal empty factories and said aloud, "Damn Chinese." He grabbed a rock from the ground and threw it at the abandoned building. The rock hit the metal wall and it tinged. The pebble then bounced onto the ground in front of him. LJ looked at the rock and shivered. He continued on his way, walking past the old diner. It was busy today. John wondered what it must have been like to eat inside it. He walked to the back of the restaurant and found the trash cans. He lifted the lid and the smell hit his nose. Whoa! He winced back and looked at it. Trash juice. He took a big breath, dove into the trash can. He was hungry, but not quite ready to eat out of the trash can yet. He was searching for bait for the fish. Those greedy boys, those'll eat anything, he said while searching for his treasure. He found a few pieces of rock-hard, half-eaten stale burger bun and some pieces of what looked like corn. He blew on the old pieces of food and placed them into his pocket. All that seafood in the sea and all the fish want to eat is a bit of old bread on a metal spike. He got to the fishing spot and his right hand holding the fishing rod was already red. Give it another 10 minutes and he wouldn't feel his fingers again. He reached into his pocket, grabbed 2 pieces of old corn and tried to hook them onto his rod. His hands were shaking and the metal spike was also shaking. He managed to get the first piece on, yes! But on the second, his hand slipped and the hook went straight into his thumb. He winced in pain, and tried to keep his hand still while he pulled the spike from his finger. Fucking fish! 1 is all you're getting. He threw his line into the sea and waited, constantly swapping his hands, holding the rod and trying to keep the other warm in his pocket. After 30 minutes of freezing in the cold, he almost lost his rod when something pulled on it. Finally! He called out in a whisper from his blue lips. He rushed his other hand out of his pocket and spilled the rest of the bread onto the floor. Whatever he had, it was bigger than anything he had caught before. He spun the fishing wheel and used all his strength in his tiny body. Come on, you stupid fish! Just get out the water so I can go home. He finally pulled it out and lifted it towards him. It wasn't a fish, but some kind of turtle. Its head was strange. It looked human, almost the same as a bald man's head. The turtle was about the length of a ruler. The creature said in a mumbled voice as it was dangling with the hook still in its mouth, Yamete! Hanashite! What? John said as he placed the turtle on the ground. I said, let me go! Oh my god, you can talk. Of course I can talk. Haven't you ever heard of our tales, boy? Tales? Tales of what? Tales of the Oshōuo. And that's where I finished that story today. I decided what I'm going to do for the Thursday podcast is continue the story of the Tales of Oshōuo. And on the Monday one, I'm going to do a completely different story. So Thursday is just dedicated at the moment to the Tales of the Oshōuo. Now, this is going to be turned into a sort of novelette series. I'm going to continue with this. And we're probably going to carry on with this story with the boy and this turtle for the next 3 or 4 weeks and see where it goes, because I like where I've started with this, and I think this is an interesting story. A boy finds a magical turtle and then goes from there. Now, I have changed some of the stories of the Oshōuo a little bit. Normally, in the original Japanese myth, they are pretty big, these turtles. They are said to be about 150 to 180 centimeters big, so a little bit bigger than a ruler, but I thought if I make a giant turtle, it's awkward for him to carry it around, right? So I thought if I make him a little small one, he can pick it up, he can carry it, it works with the story, right? So that's pretty cool. But that's our story from me for the day. We have got, coming up after this tale of the Oshōuo, we have a true story, allegedly true story, from a Japanese person. This one is anonymous, and this comes from our very, very handy website, which I always link in the description if you want to give that a read. They've got loads of Japanese stories which are all said to be true. Some of them are probably fiction, some of them are probably true, but this one was a particularly good story that I liked, so I thought I'd read it for you. This was written by Anonymous, so I don't know who wrote it, but the story nonetheless is very, very interesting. So let's give it a read. It's titled The Reflection on the Last Train. At the end of winter, the night train was strangely quiet. Outside the windows, everything was pitch black. Only the interior of the carriage reflected in the glass, swaying slightly as if it belonged to another world. I sat in my seat, absently scrolling through my phone. That was when I noticed the woman sitting across from me. She was breathtakingly radiantly beautiful. Long eyelashes, a perfectly shaped nose, skin so pale it seemed to absorb the light. She wasn't wearing heavy makeup, yet her eyes held a strangely powerful presence. Somehow, our eyes met. Now normally, I would have looked away immediately, but the woman didn't. She barely blinked, almost as if she were matching my timing. An uneasy feeling settled in my chest, and I decided to get off at the next station. My destination was still far away, but I had the overwhelming sense that I had to get out of here. The doors opened, cold air from the platform rushed into the carriage. The moment I stepped out, the woman stood up at the same time. As I climbed the stairs, footsteps followed closely behind me. I turned around. She was a short distance away, staring straight at me. It wasn't enough to make me run, but the distance between us felt unnatural. Too precise to be a coincidence. I entered the convenience store in front of the station. I didn't need anything, but I figured a brightly lit place would help me calm down. I picked a random pack of gum from a nearby shelf. Reflected in the glass was the store interior, and behind me, the woman. She stood there naturally, as if she had been there from the beginning. When I went to the register, she lined up behind me. My payment finished. "Next customer," the clerk said. The woman didn't take out her wallet or place any items on the counter. She just looked at me and smiled. The smile was so beautiful, it made my skin crawl. Outside, the winter air stung my face. I walked quickly down the main street, hoping to find a taxi, but at this hour, none were passing by. Suddenly, a voice came from behind me. "It's cold, isn't it?" I turned around. The woman was holding the collar of her coat, speaking as if this were an ordinary conversation. The train felt the same. It made me feel relieved. Relieved? My throat went dry. "Sorry," I said. I'm in a hurry." I started walking faster, almost fleeing. Her footsteps matched mine exactly. When I sped up, so did she. When I stopped, she stopped, like a shadow. Turning into the alley was a mistake. Just 1 block away from the main street, the presence of people vanished. I tried to head back towards the convenience store lights. That was when the woman finally closed the difference. She was right behind me. Her breath brushed against my neck. It was so cold. Not the cold of winter, but the store cold you feel when you open a refrigerator. "Hey," she whispered. You saw it, didn't you? My reflection in the window. My spine locked in place. The person reflected in the train window had definitely been a woman, but something had been wrong. The reflection's mouth moved just slightly later than hers. Her blinking, her smile, everything was just a fraction out of sync. As I remember that unease, the woman slowly lifted her fingers and forced the corners of her mouth upward, as if manually shaping a smile. "I can smile properly in mirrors," she said, "but once I step outside, it all falls apart." Her fingers slid down her cheek and hooked behind her ear. Then she pulled. A wet, squelching sound echoed in the alley. "Skin! That couldn't be." The outline of the beautiful face began to peel away. I stumbled backwards, unable to scream. My foot caught the curb and I almost lost my balance. Still wearing the broken smile, the woman spoke calmly. "Don't look. If you do, I'll fall apart." Suddenly, her voice changed. Though it came from that same throat, multiple voices overlapped as if several people were speaking at the same time. "Don't look, Zola! Don't look!" She grabbed her face with both hands and began scratching wildly. Red lines tore across her pale skin. Flesh collected beneath her fingernails. Still, she didn't stop. "Tell me I'm beautiful," she pleaded sweatily. "If you don't, I can't go back." Her fingers pried her cheeks apart. Her mouth split open, exposing her teeth, and still her voice remained disturbingly gentle. I ran. Behind me, a wet, dragging sound, not footsteps, something soft being pulled along the ground. Turning the corner, I nearly crashed into a small shrine. A torii gate, stone lion statues, and an offering box. Without thinking, I rushed inside the grounds and gasped for air in front of the offering box. My breath turned white in the cold air, but one of those white breaths wasn't mine. Another thin cloud drifted from behind me. The woman stood just outside the Tory gate. She didn't enter. Instead, she tilted her head at an unnatural angle and stared at me. Her face was no longer beautiful. No, it wasn't even a face. Something like skin hung loosely, and only her eyes remained. Slowly she spoke. "There's no mirror here. That's why I can't come in." I don't understand what she meant. Then she pointed towards a small water basin beside the offering box. The surface reflected in the streetlight, dark and glossy like a mirror. It showed my face and the darkness behind me. From beneath the Tory gate, she pleaded softly, "Reflect me into the water! Into the water!" I shook my head. Her eyes narrowed sharply. Then she said, "Let's record you." My smartphone turned on by itself. The camera app opened. On the screen, my face appeared, and just behind my shoulder, a woman. She should have been outside the Tory gate. I span around. No one was there. Yet on the screen, she stood perfectly clear. Only on the screen was she smiling perfectly, beautifully. Without a sound, she moved her lips. "Thank you for watching." The screen went black. Nothing reflected anymore. Not my face, not the shrine. Only white breath slowly clouded the dark glass. And that's the end of that story for you. That is a very creepy story. It's like some kind of monster, right? That can only be seen in like reflections, like almost like kind of Stranger Things, right? Very, very similar to like the Upside Down kind of thing, that in reflections she lives in like an alternate world. I thought it was very cool. Very similar, I thought at one point to there's a Japanese myth about a woman whose face like opens up and you can see her teeth, and she says to normally lonely guys at night, say I'm beautiful, and if you say she's beautiful she'll then attack you, but even if you say she's ugly, she attacks you. As a weird myth. But that was two pretty good stories for you. We're going to move into our news section of the podcast for today, and we've got some good news stories for you. We certainly have. We've got one about a Japanese, I don't know if he's not necessarily a mayor, but someone in government has been up to some very naughty things. We've got a policeman who has been stealing evidence and selling it on the black market. We have got about a nuclear regulator who lost their phone in China, and that is causing all sorts of havoc. And we've got a few other news stories for you. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into our first one. This is the story about a nuclear regulator, a person who works for the Nuclear Regulatory Service, has lost a work-issued smartphone while travelling. So this work-issued smartphone containing confidential information during a personal trip to China last November, sources said. Raising concerns over a possible data leak, the unrecovered phone believed to have been lost at Shanghai Airport on November 3rd. He lost it during a security check, but this phone contained the names and contact details of staff in the Nuclear Regulation Authority and its security division. Information that obviously is normally kept confidential to protect the nuclear places from things like terrorism and also theft. The official noticed the loss 3 days later, but was unable to locate it or remotely access the device to erase it. Apparently they have said that the phone hasn't been used, but they are worried about this, and because of this, the watchdog is going to make a rule saying that smartphones can't be taken overseas during personal travel. I mean, you're a nuclear regulator, right? It's one thing to carry your phone with you when you go on holiday, yeah, but you should be able to look after it. And not only that, you shouldn't realise after 3 days later that you've lost the phone. That is a long, long, long time. That worries me, that someone is so forgetful that they can not only lose the phone at the airport, but 3 days later, and they're working in nuclear, where if something goes wrong, ooh, baby. That is the end of the world. So I'm very terrified by that news story for just a whole bunch of reasons. This actually, though, might end up working for the nuclear regulator's favour because, first of all, when you go on like a personal holiday, who wants to take their work phone with them? No one. But now there's a law saying that they can't do it. So fantastic. That's nice, isn't it? Put your phone away and don't worry about it. But knowing how Japan works and everything, instead of it being, oh, when you go on your personal holiday, you can't bring your phone with you. It will be like, oh no, you can't do any international travel anymore because we can't contact you. So yeah, Japan and travel is not the best. Even though they have one of the strongest passports in the world, they do not use it enough. Crazy. But there we go. Our next news story for you is about a new cat station master. So if you haven't heard of this story, there is a train station which has a cat as its station master. Now recently that cat passed away, so they have appointed a new one. So here's the story for you. A new cat station master, a calico cat named Yonatama, was appointed on Wednesday as the third feline station master of Kishi Station on Wakayama Electric Railway Co. On the Kishigawa line in Wakayama Prefecture, continuing an almost 2-decade tradition that has boosted tourism and helped keep the line financially afloat. During the ceremony, the railway also introduced a new feline apprentice to take over when the cat dies, because apparently there was no one who is set to replace them. So not only do they have one cat, they have the head cat, they also have someone who's going to take over for them, a predecessor. Not a predecessor, a predecessor? What do you call someone who's going to take over after you? You're the predecessor. Next one? Decessor? I have no idea what they call that. But anyway, there's a brand new cat coming in, and do you know what's crazy? That these cats, the station masters, have brought in like crazy money to the local economy because people generally travel like miles to go and see these cats. Like they've brought in millions of dollars to people just so that you can go and witness a cat who is in a little station uniform. The cat in the presentation certainly did not look like a happy cat, I can tell you that now. In fact, he looked like a very, very, very grumpy cat, and not one that I would want to go and see, but I don't particularly like cats. I think I'm more of a dog person. But what do you think? Do you want to go and see this brand new cat, or is it over now? Did you want to see its predecessor? What was the point of seeing this grumpy cat when you want to go and see another one? The funny thing is, if you go and see it, it's literally just it's in like a window, and doesn't really do anything. It just kind of sits there for a few hours, and it's not there all the time. I think it has like set hours that it has to work or sit and be fed its tuna. I wonder who looks after the cats in the evening, or maybe it's just you know, cats are cats. I suppose you can leave them. They're not like dogs, but yeah, cats for you. Cats in Japan are a weird and wonderful thing. But speaking of weird and wonderful things, we have this is actually a kind of a good stories. So there has been in some prefectures a push to hire less foreign talent because Japan is getting more national, and there seems to be a thing all over the world. UK, Japan, there seems to be a push to hire more national talent everywhere. But several mayors in Mie Prefecture have pushed back on this. So I shall read the story for you. Several mayors in Mie Prefecture have pledged to continue employing foreign nationals in their municipalities after Governor Katsuyumi Ichan revealed late last year that the prefecture is considering ending the hiring of foreign staff. The Suzuka mayor, Noriko Setsuma, I butchered their name, I'm sorry, that January 6th on a New Year press conference that the city has no plan to abolish foreign hiring, emphasizing the importance of securing a diverse talent in the city with a large international population, while noting that Sakura has allowed permanent and special permanent residents to apply for most municipal roles since 2001. A Kuwakama mayor, Nakukura Ito, likewise stated that his city will not change its coexisting policies or hiring practice. So this is good. You know, it's nice that some places in Japan still want to hire for residents. Now, one of the reasons that they say that they want to hire these ones is that they actually tend to work with foreigners who are coming to Japan, and it's easier to have someone who perhaps speaks the second language that when someone's coming in, or you might have a better relationship if you are working with someone from your country who's working in Japan. It's an interesting thing that they were talking about, that a lot of the foreign roles are to help with things like translation, or if someone comes from abroad, they can help them with different filing stuff, things like that. It makes sense to me, these jobs. I don't see why you shouldn't hire anyone from overseas if they are better suited for the job than perhaps a Japanese person. I think this is good for people. It's good to have more foreign talent in some of these government offices, because they can be very, 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 very Japanese. But hey, nothing wrong with that. But there we go. Nice to have a mayor stand up for the foreign people. It's very rare to see any mayors standing up for the foreigners at the moment. It seems to be everyone hates foreigners in Japan at the moment. But there we go. But our next news story is coming out of Saitama Prefecture, and this is about a very, very naughty policeman. So, a police officer in Saitama Prefecture has been arrested on suspicion of stealing valuable anime trading cards. These were kept as evidence in the police station, and he apparently sold these items to continue his gambling addiction on horse racing. So, Saitama Prefecture arrested a 25-year-old police officer of the Hanyu police station, and a criminal investigation division has looked into it, and they have reported that he has admitted to taking 9 cards from the evidence storage between October 11th and November 25, and selling 8 of the 9 cards to secondhand stores for a whopping 740,000 yen. That's 740,000 yen. That is like almost 3 months. I mean, that is 3 months' salary for a normal person. That is a ludicrous amount of money for 8 cards. Now, what were the cards doing in the evidence? Well, apparently they were involved in a separate theft case, and were going to be used as evidence in that. And it came into light that they were missing, and they found that he had stolen them. What an absolutely crazy story. I mean, first of all, crazy that a police officer would steal stuff from the storage place. Nice that it's not money. Whenever I think things that are going to be stolen from like something like that, I always assume it's going to be money or drugs, but anime cards are worth more than money or drugs. I mean, also, you think about, like, just, I can see what his logic behind stealing them, because they're so small, you can slip them into your pockets easily, and they're worth an absolute fortune. Wow. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Amazing that he got caught. I'm amazed that he got caught, to be honest. I'm amazed he got caught. I'm amazed he is a police officer who is gambling too much so that he can continue betting on stuff. And I'm amazed that anime cards are worth that much. So that means he got 740,000 for each card. Each card is worth almost 100,000. That is amazing. I want to know what cards. I suppose anime cards. Do you think they were like Pokemon cards or something? It says anime ones, so they could be anything. I feel like if they were Pokemon cards, it would have said in the story, right? Maybe they're like what else is popular? I have no idea which other trading cards are very popular. I suppose you could say Yu-Gi-Oh is. Could be Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Who knows? A mystery nonetheless. But what isn't a mystery is this very, very naughty governor. This is one of Japan's worst. It certainly is. So let's get into this story. An investigative report has revealed that the former, I think it's Fukui governor, Tatsuji Sugimoto, sent around 1,000 sexually harassing text messages to staff over a period spanning nearly 20 years. According to lawyers appointed to the Fukui Prefecture government, Sugimoto sought sexual relationships with multiple female employees, commented on their appearance, and reportedly sent messages such as, "I want to kiss you," and "I have an irresistible urge to hug you," while warning the recipients to keep the messages secret. And he even sent messages such as, "Keep it completely secret," and "Take it to your grave." The report, based on a survey of approximately 6,000 government employees, god damn, also confirmed multiple instances of physical harassment during social events, including inappropriate touching. Investigators also reported Sugimoto's actions may have violated Japan's anti-stalking law or constituted as a non-consensual indecency. Sugimoto has admitted to sending the messages, claiming he acted out of affection and became careless when he was drunk, but he denied the allegations of groping. Now, in December, he resigned and since has issued a written apology, saying he respects the finding but does not plan to hold a press conference because he wants to protect the victims. Oh, that's nice of him, isn't he? So he's not released. He's not going to do a big old press conference. Oh no, that would be dangerous to the victims. He wants to be a top outstanding guy. So he's just gone like, oh, you know what? Because I'm such a good man, I'm not going to hold a press conference for this. I'm just going to let this go under the rug and go from there. Now, you're probably wondering, Stefan, how did he get away with this for so long? Well, he didn't. People actually reported him for this, but the higher-ups in there didn't take the allegations seriously, and they were just basically sort of brushed off for this long time. The report also criticised senior officials for failing to respond appropriately when concerns were first raised, and they said, oh, we didn't take it seriously enough. How often do you hear this in Japan? This is such a horrible thing that there's someone who gets reported for something and it's never taken seriously enough. It's Japan's thing. Oh, we'll just sleep it under the rug. Oh, he's a little bit silly, isn't he? But don't worry, we'll have a conversation with him. This happens all over Japan. It's horrible. It doesn't just happen it happens everywhere. This happens in teaching. The amount of times that you see a news story, I mean, I've been reading these stories now for I think 2 or 3 years, and maybe once every 2 or 3 months, the same old story comes up about either a teacher or a politician or a big Japanese company that says that some member of staff was doing some sort of sexual harassment to students or to employees, and it's ill. Oh, by the way, this has happened before. This has been reported, but no action was taken. Why they just don't fire them and blacklist them, I don't know. They're quick enough to blacklist people for other things, but when it comes to sexual harassment, it's like, oh no, you go for it, mate. Have a lovely time. Absolutely does my head in. I have actually stopped recently because I felt like every time I was making one of these long episodes that there was some news story about some politician or some teacher who did sexual harassment, that I stopped making videos about them because I felt like I'm just repeating the same old news story over and over again. And here we go. This time it's a government employee, but the reason I'm doing this one is because it's 1,000 cases of instances over 20 years. Did this guy do any work? I mean, I'm amazed he found time to actually work over sending 1,000 sexually harassing messages to staff. By the way, what I wonder is, considering how a few years ago there was a guy who during his working hours he went to the gym and he got caught doing it. So he found that every day or something he was going to the gym for an hour or 2 hours. The government wanted him to pay back his salary for the time that he was at the gym. They wanted him to pay him back. Interestingly enough, I wonder if they're going to ask him to pay back the money to pay back the time that he spent sending 1,000 sexually harassing messages, because that's not normal working hour stuff, is it? I bet they don't do that to him because he got away with it for 20 years. Oh, drives me absolutely insane. 1,000 harassing messages. How long do you think that took him to send? Let me think. How long do you think that would take you to send 1,000 messages? That's got to be at least a week or two of work, hasn't it? How many messages do you think you send a day? You got to spell check them, make sure they're right. That's a lot. That's a lot of time. I'm going to say a week. Do you think that's right? About 150 messages you can send in a day? Good ones? I don't know how long it takes to send you a message. All I know is years and years ago, I used to work for a call center, and I think on my busiest day, I could do, it must have been maybe 200 calls a day, 100, 200 calls a day. So, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot, isn't it? Isn't it? Not good. Awful story. But there we go. That's that news story for you today. And is that the end of my news for the day? Oh, I'm not ending the podcast on a guy who's groping stuff. We're gonna have to talk about something else. There's no way I'm ending the podcast on a creepy politician. No way. So we're gonna talk about what's been going on with me for the last couple of days. It's very cold here in Tsushima. It's absolutely freezing. I am barely surviving at the moment. This is why you don't see a green screen behind me with a cool background on it. Is because it's just too cold. So what I've done, I'm in my living room at the moment, and I'm just trying to keep this room and my bedroom warm because they're connected to each other. So I'm just trying to survive at the moment and get it through the first days. Tomorrow I have my first day back teaching. That should be fun. I'm excited to get into that and see how we do. And then we've got the 3-day weekend. It's such a weird schedule, the Japanese teaching schedule. Like, you come back from the long holiday, then you teach for like 2 days, and then you have a 3-day weekend. You would think, in a normal world, if this was the UK, they'd probably be like, hey, should we just go back after instead? Because, they don't have Christmas here in Japan. So their holidays started for most people on the 26th. So instead of having 2 weeks off, they sort of get I suppose they had sort of had 2 weeks off. They've had a week. Let me think. I've had a week and a half off. So from the 26th, most people broke up from office work. They had the week of New Year's off, and then most people were back on the Monday. So just a week off, not really long enough. But if that was the UK or whatever, you think they would just go, hey, you know what we're also going to do? Because we go back, it's kind of like a weird thing. We have the 12th off. Why don't we just have 2 whole weeks off and enjoy them? But that can never happen in Japan. Too long. People wouldn't know what to do. Imagine a double golden week. What would you call it? A double golden week. A platinum week. That sounds nice, doesn't it? I'd like that. But no, we're back to work here, and I'm going to be interesting what my first teaching day is like tomorrow. See how all the students are doing. But apart from that, not too much has been going on here. Just enjoying the winter at the moment. I went today actually to one of my favourite restaurants here, and they do Japanese food, they do Chinese food in it. But the only problem is all the seats are on the ground, so you have to sit on the floor. And I am absolutely terrible at sitting on the floor because my legs fall asleep really, really quickly. And while I was eating my food, I got halfway through it, and I could feel my my left leg fall asleep. And the restaurant's full. It's a really, really small place. There's only maybe 16 seats, and it's pretty busy in there. And even when I go in, because it's super remote, super countryside Tsushima, people are looking at me when I go in, being what is this guy doing here? This is a local place. How does he know about it? This isn't a foreigner approved place. And I don't want to make a fool of myself. I also live here. So I eat my food, that all goes well. And then it comes time when I need to pay. And here's the problem. I can't get up because my leg's fallen asleep. So I'm trying to do everything to wake my leg up nonchalantly. The restaurant's full, and obviously they want to turn over the seat because it's a very, very small restaurant. So I can see the owner looking at me okay, are you gonna leave? Are you gonna pay? Let's go. You finished. I want to get some more people in here. So I shift first to go and get up, because at this point my leg is sort of woken up. But as I go to shift, I can just feel my leg go completely back to sleep. So I'm okay, no. We've got to wake this up again. So I keep shaking my leg, trying to wake it up and get it going. And eventually it wakes up. I get up, I'm okay, good. My legs are still half asleep sort of thing, but they're enough that I can stand on them. I go to pay and I do it really quickly, and I'm good. I then go out the door, and literally I can feel my legs start to buckle. So I put my hand on the the wall. Luckily I'm outside so no one can see me at this point, and I'm like, okay, come on, wake up. And my legs finally wake up. I hate sitting on the floor. This happens all the time. I had to sit through a like performance. Some like group came to Tsushima, like a drama group, and they brought with them loads of giant sets, loads of really good stuff, and did a whole performance for all the students at my school. But we were in the gym watching it, and we had to all sit on the floor. That was like an hour and a half long, and let me tell you something, that was an uncomfortable hour and a half. That's probably the longest I've spent sitting on the floor since I was an elementary school student myself. Sitting on the floor here. It doesn't happen often here in Japan. It doesn't. Most places actually do have normal seating. It's pretty rare, I would say now, to have a traditional restaurant where you actually sit on the ground. Maybe 1 in 10, not even that. I'd say overall it's maybe 1 in 100 or so. And if they do, the thing is, if they do have on the floor seating, normally they also have in a separate area like seating. So it's weird for the restaurant to have it. But I wonder if they, I wonder why they do it. I wonder if it's, because this place is in a little bit of a backwater place in Tsushima, and Tsushima is full of foreign tourists. So I wonder if they do it a little bit to stop foreign tourists coming in. I don't know. But the funny thing is also, when I was leaving, I could hear them, because the walls are like paper thing, I could hear someone saying like, oh, Guy Cockagin? What's a foreigner doing in here? And they were like, oh, I think he works at the school. And I was like, yeah, I do work in the school in the area. That's how I know about this place. But there we go. But that's all the stuff from me. Have a fantastic rest of your week. I will be back again on, what day are we? I will be back again on Tuesday with our next podcast. What I'm going to try and do is make the series come on a Tuesday and then a Thursday, I think. We're going to aim for Tuesday, Thursday. It might be that I can't do Thursday every week and that I have to do it on instead Tuesday and Friday. But we shall see. I shall try my best. The thing that really slows me down is actually writing the stories. So today's story I wrote literally just before this podcast, and it actually came out really well. I was really impressed with that story. I like the dad. I like the whole story about the dad being drunk and the son being like that. So I'm excited for it. But that's the podcast for today. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, rest of your evening, or rest of your 2026. And I shall see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.